I still have nightmares and flashbacks of my father molesting me. Sometimes to the point to where I crawl under tables and hide. My father began molesting me when I had to have been 4, because I remember my sister, who is 4 years younger than me, being in the crib. And he would tell me that I was his daddy's little girl and that he loved me. And one thing, it progressed over time from then until my 2nd grade year. It had started out with just having me, do oral sex with him and everything. And then once I got older, he raped me, and I screamed, and he told me if he wanted the whole trailer park to know, then he would have done it in the street for me to shut up, and he hit me. I learned later that he was molesting my brother and sister at the same time, because he had told me that if I shut up and did what he told me to do, that he wouldn't mess with my brother and sister, and that I was special and that he loved me. My mom left my dad for a little bit, and her boyfriend molested me and beat my brother. He had hung my brother up on the back of the door where the little clothes hook had hung him up on it, and my brother tried to, in a dress, he dressed him up as a little girl and hung him up, and my brother wound up falling off the back of the door, breaking his legs. And then she wound up going back to my dad, where he continued to molest me. We went to the DCF office, and we had to explain what happened with little bears and dolls and stuff about what happened. And I remember sitting in a room with my mom under a table and could hear my dad across the hallway screaming and crying and saying he never did that. And my mom looking at me and telling me, look what you did to your dad. You need to tell them the truth. Stop lying. And they came and found us and took us and put us in foster homes. Which we did from, like I said, 2nd grade up until 5th grade. And then in some of the foster homes, one of my foster parents molested me. When I was 12, I was in the children's home, and I was sleeping around with a 16-year-old and got pregnant, and they did an abortion because I was so young. It was nothing for me to sleep with an uncle or a foster brother. When I say uncle, I mean a foster uncle, or a foster dad. My dad had come back in the picture, and I was an adult, and I was sleeping with my father as an adult. He came by the house one night, and it scared me. So I told the guy I was talking to on the webcam about it. And he said that if I had sex with my son and he could watch, that he would bring us to California and take us away from everything. And I wouldn't have to be around my dad anymore. So I asked my son if he would have sex with me. He was 8 years old. And we had sex in front of the webcam for the guy to watch. And he was telling us what to do. He was so young. I went to prison. They never found the guy in California.
You did prison time for what happened with your son?
I did 9 years in prison.
How did that come out that you got caught?
My son was at the YMCA, and him and some boys were talking, and somehow sex came up, and he said that he had had sex, and the boys were ragging him and said no, that he hadn't, and he said he had had sex with his mom. And they went to the counselors with the YMCA, and the YMCA called DCF there in Texas. And then I seen him through the glass wall. And they let me see him, you know, with supervision and everything. And I told him the one thing that I always wanted to hear from my father. And I told him that I was proud of him for telling the truth. My daddy never, ever said he was sorry. And I wasn't sorry because I got caught. I was sorry because I had hurt him so bad. And he was so confused because he thought that everything was fine. He felt just like I did when I was little. And I had to hear that out of my son's mouth.